Right, here in lesson 4, still factorizing three terms or trinomials, but now my last two terms are negative. Remember in the previous lesson, the terms were positive. Alright, so factorize, given x squared minus 5x minus 6. X squared, again, simply x times x. But we have to use the factors of 6 to get to negative 5. So because that term is negative, I have to use negative and positive sign to get to negative. So minus 6 times positive 1 gives me negative 6. And minus 6 plus 1 gives me negative 5. Right, I can also make the 6 positive times a negative 1, which gives me negative 6. But plus 6 minus 1 gives me plus 5, not negative 5. Minus 3 times 2, negative 6. But minus 3 plus 2 gives me negative 1. If I flip them around, 3 times negative 2 gives me negative 6. 3 minus 2, then 1. So the one that's valid is that one there on the top, right? So minus 6 times 1. So I have in my brackets, my 6 must be negative and my 1 positive. So x times x gives me x squared. Minus 6x plus 1x gives me minus 5x. Right, next problem. Right, in problem number 2, we're factorizing again x squared minus 9xy minus 36y squared. Because my last term is negative, my signs must be positive and negative in my bracket. X squared is simply x times x, y squared is simply y times y. If I take factors of negative 36 times 1 gives me negative 36. But that negative 36 plus the 1 gives me negative 35. Minus 12 times 3 gives me negative 36. And minus 12 plus 3 gives me negative 9. If you use negative 6 times 6, it gives me negative 36. And negative 6 plus 6 gives me 0. Alright, so if I factorize that now, x squared is simply x times x to give me x squared from there. And my 36 there, as you can see my bracket, I have the negative 12 and I have the plus 3. And from there, y and y. So that gives me minus 12xy plus 3xy when I multiply, which then gives me the negative 9xy. So hope you follow. Right, if you're enjoying the lesson, please like, share and subscribe. Problem number 3, factorize x squared minus 14xy minus 32y squared. So I hope you note you see x squared, y squared, that would be xy. So whatever variables we have squared, we have them to the power 1 in the middle. So x squared is simply x times x, y squared is simply y times y. Again, factors of 32, negative 32 times 1. Negative 32, but negative 32 plus the 1 gives me negative 31. That's not what I have in the middle. Negative 16 times 2 gives me negative 32. And negative 16 plus 2 gives me negative 14. So that is the one I would use. That one is just for example purposes. So in my bracket again, I have x and x. I have minus 16 plus 2. And then y and y. So minus 16xy plus 2xy gives me minus 14xy. Okay, just ignore the positive, that must read negative.